The biggest winners in this trade are Giannis and the Bucks. Giannis made it very clear that he was putting pressure on the Bucks front office to see how committed they were to winning. They just proved how committed they are with this trade, and I absolutely believe that he will sign the extension and stay in Milwaukee. One of the reasons that this duo looks so lethal is because they help with each other's weaknesses. Giannis now is one of the best shooters of all time who could really help out with their half-court offense. Dame also adds crazy spacing to this team, and in turn will give Giannis more room to work with. The Greek Freak can now comfortably extend his contract with the team that drafted him while joining up with the greatest teammate he's ever had. A loser in this trade is Lillard's old team. I look at the return they got and I wonder what it would have looked like if the Blazers decided to rebuild sooner. Instead of trading Dame when his value was at his highest, they kept running it back, and that was a mistake. Over the past 2 years, the team drew out the rebuild and only had the value of their assets like Dame, CJ, and Nurkic get older. If they had made some playoff runs, maybe you could have cut them some slack. But they haven't made the second round since 2019. They haven't even made the play-in the past 2 years. Now, the return they get for a top 10 caliber player is a pick, 2 pick swaps, a player the Suns took in the second round, Drew, who has a player option next year, and Ayton. While that is a solid return, in the past few years, teams have traded away much more for worse players. The Blazers took way too long when it came to starting their rebuild. Now becoming Milwaukee's third option, I believe Chris Middleton is a winner in this 3-team deal. Middleton hasn't been the same caliber of player after his injury versus the Bulls in the first round. He missed almost 50 games last year and only started in 19. Chris also averaged the fewest minutes in his career besides his rookie season. That's not to say Chris is washed, because he just became one of the best third options in the league. With the new role on the Bucks, Middleton's workload is better suited for him based on the point he's at in his career. One of the biggest losers after the deal are the Miami Heat. This offseason, they were in talks to get Kyrie Irving, Bradley Beal, and Damian Lillard, but didn't get any of the All-Stars. Not only did they lose 2 vital role players in Max Strus and Gabe Vincent, but they also made no significant additions to the team. After the reveal that Dame requested a trade, the Heat were the favorites to get him from day one, but couldn't finalize a deal. And with that, they lost out on a move that could have turned them into Tier 1 championship contenders. And now, Damian joins a team that was the first seed last year that shares the same conference with Miami. After missing out on 3 guys who could have added the offensive punch they needed, and then regressing this offseason, Heat fans aren't happy after this trade. One team that really came out of this deal as a winner are the Phoenix Suns. It felt obvious that the Suns should involve Ayton or CP3 in a trade that would bring in depth at the beginning of the offseason. While they didn't do that with the addition of Beal, they definitely did with this move. This transaction brings a shooter in Grayson Allen, a defender in Nasir Little, a young prospect in Keon Johnson, and a solid big man with Yusuf Nurkic. In turn, the Suns lost 2 pieces: their second-round selection, who most likely wouldn't add much to this win-now roster, and DeAndre Ayton, who wouldn't be able to play his best behind Booker, KD, and Beal anyway. This trade definitely helped out one of the issues with the roster and made Phoenix a winner. While I doubt he'll stay in Portland for long, the Trailblazers got Drew Holiday in this deal. In the meantime, Drew is definitely one of the losers in this trade. Looking at the teams he can get traded to, only 2 come to mind that are in the position to make a win-now move for him. Those 2 teams are Miami and Philly. The thing is, I don't know how attractive the offers Portland gets will be. If they really don't like what's available, they could take their time to get what they want. We've just seen that they're comfortable doing that with how they handled Dame. One of the best defenders in the league became available to trade for, but Drew Holiday lost in the deal as of now. While Drew went from the Bucks to the Blazers, the reverse happened for the focal point of the trade. Damian Lillard not only went from lottery team to contender, but he's a perfect fit with the team. The biggest weakness in Lillard's game is definitely defense. Now he has 2 deep-point caliber teammates to help him out on that end. 2 things Milwaukee needed were shooting and improvement in the clutch. On offense, he's a light-out shooter, an underrated playmaker, and makes shots in crunch time. When looking at how he played individually, Dame just had the best season of his career. In February, he averaged almost 40 points per game. Since he's entered his prime, Dame has been the first option, and with the defensive attention that Giannis brings, I'm really excited to see how he does on the Bucks this season, now that teams have to focus on 2 players who averaged 30 last year. Dame just joined the best team he's ever been on, with the best teammate he's ever played with, around the best defense he's ever had, while still in his prime. While the Celtics added Porzingis and the Bucks brought in Lillard, the 76ers have looked rough this offseason. They couldn't find a Harden trade they liked, and it seems like the relationship between James and the front office is tense. It already felt like the Sixers were the 3rd best team in the East, and now the gap between how good Philly is versus the Celtics and Bucks got even bigger. With all that in mind, how does Embiid feel about the current status of this team? There's a real possibility that if they disappoint next year, the team might be headed into a rebuild. After the way their season ended in 2022, it seemed like the relationship between Ayton and the Suns had soured. Now, the center will get a fresh start and opportunities to shine in Portland's offense. At just 25 years old, Ayton has the potential to become the Trailblazers' starting center for many years to come. Since he was a part of that 2021 finals run, DeAndre also brings some postseason experience. With Dame out of Portland, DeAndre Ayton could be a building block for the new era of the Trailblazers. They beat the Bucks in 2022, but the Celtics should definitely be worried after this trade. Not only was Milwaukee able to take Boston to 7 games, but they were able to do so without Chris Middleton for the entire series. Now, they would have Dame and a healthy Chris if the teams do match up again in the playoffs. The biggest threat to the Celtics in their conference just added a top 10 player. What makes it worse is that the Celtics lost their best perimeter defender Marcus Smart this offseason, so they'll have an even harder time guarding Lillard. The Bucks have become the favorite to make it out the East, especially now with Dame. Last playoffs, I really wanted to see the Celtics and Bucks match up in the conference finals. After the big trades both teams made, I want to see the matchup even more. This offseason has seen some big moves, but I looked at some things that went under the radar. If you want to take a look at some of the most underrated signings this offseason, click the video on your screen.